Conservatives are facing a reckoning as conspiracies about the murder of Charlie Kirk run rampant. Kirk was shot and killed at a speaking event in Utah in September, and since then there's been a war of words involving prominent conservative voices. Some have promoted conspiracies questioning the federal investigation into Kirk's death and even accused Kirk's former colleagues of being involved. Emily Brooks joins us to discuss. She is author of the Movement newsletter, which tracks influences and debates on the political right. Hey, Emily, so you have this newsletter out today on how these conspiracies are just consuming the right. You make the point that instead of unifying the right, Charlie Kirk's assassination has divided it. Why?
Yeah, and that was a pretty surprising result to some who, in the media aftermath, were really thinking this is going to create a common sense of purpose against the political left. But that assumes, in part, that the assassin of Charlie Kirk was on the political left. And with these conspiracy theories raising questions, insinuating that perhaps there was some kind of coordination with foreign governments, or even the U.S. government, or even from within the Turning Point USA itself, that turns the conservative movement in on itself. And so really, conservatives have been grappling with how to address this surge in conspiracy theories that has really been spearheaded by Candace Owens, the podcaster who formerly worked at Turning Point USA and was once a close friend of Charlie Kirk's. And so the fact that it's her raising this, somebody who shares an audience with a lot of other conservative commentators, who speaks to a big portion of the movement that Turning Point USA and Republicans are trying to reach, that makes it tricky for them to try. What do? Do you say that it's all fake? Do you come out against her? Do you ignore her? It's a big dilemma for conservatives.
Yeah, so Candace Owens has been one of the loudest voices spreading conspiracy theories. She said that Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old charged in Kirk's murder, was not the one who pulled the trigger. She questioned the authenticity of Robinson's message released by federal investigators. She also suggested that Kirk was betrayed by the leadership of Turning Point USA. All that, and then we hear yesterday that Owens met with Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, and both said the meeting went well. What are we to make of all that?
Yeah, I think what comes out of that readout from that meeting, more from Candace Owens and Erica Kirk, will be very interesting. It's important to note that meeting came in wake of a media tour that Erica Kirk went on, explicitly asking Candace Owens to stop. Candace Owens responded saying that you tell me what I'm lying about and I'll stop, really being defiant in that. So the fact that they did meet in person is a very big development. And we'll see if it leads to a change in tune for Candace Owens, a change in approach on how Turning Point USA handles these things. But it's a difficult proposition for not only Turning Point, but for other major conservative commentators like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Matt Walsh. All of these big podcasters who share an audience with Candace Owens have taken different approaches on how they are handling it. Tucker Carlson is saying, well, I don't trust the leadership of the FBI. And meanwhile, you have Matt Walsh putting out a video kind of saying why he doesn't believe in these conspiracy theories. So it's very delicate, particularly when a lot of them have promoted and spoken to a lot of conspiracy theories that have taken hold on the right for years and years. Just think of Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. January 6th, stolen election claims. This has been a major part of what motivates the most dedicated, loyal conservative base, and certainly in elections, and for the consumers of this conservative ecosystem. And so it's tough. It's tough to handle them when it's all of a sudden turned in on them, their friends, and their colleagues.
Yeah, you mentioned it's not just Candace Owens, and you talked about Tucker Carlson. There's these other loud voices inside the MAGA media landscape. The way they talk about things, not just this Charlie Kirk issue, you talked about the Epstein files, issues surrounding Israel and U.S. relationship. the U.S. relationship with that country, often creates tension, not just with other conservative figures, but also elected Republicans, putting them really in difficult positions a lot of times.
Yeah, certainly. And then you see a lot of things that happen in Congress trying to address or respond to a lot of these conspiracy theories. There have been more investigations, more years of investigations into the original January 6th Select Committee than the time elapsed of the existence of the actual Select Committee. There is a special select subcommittee in Congress now that is still looking into January 6th and issues around that. There are have been investigations into all kinds of different things. There's investigations into Jeffrey Epstein. Not saying that every part of that is a conspiracy theory, but certainly when something like this grabs hold of the base, elected Republicans oftentimes feel like they need to do something to respond to it with an official investigation, more releases, or things of that nature.
To a certain extent, is the right being forced to sleep in a bed that it made? I mean, this ecosystem of podcasters and social media trolls was harnessed to gain political power. Now kind of seems like it's eating itself.
Yeah, and I think that is the dilemma for those in this conservative ecosystem. Certainly, even Matt Walsh, when he was debunking these conspiracy theories, he was saying that, well, I understand why people wouldn't trust the FBI. And I understand why people think that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. And he said that as if it was a fact, despite it being repeatedly disputed by federal authorities. So this sense of distrust of the elites and institutions really is a core part of the Republican coalition right now. There was a survey from the Manhattan Institute recently that measured the Republican coalition. These are people who have voted Republican in the last election, or they identify as Republican even though they didn't vote Republican. And a solid fifth of these voters said that they agreed with 5 or 6 out of 6 listed conspiracy theories. So yeah, it's a very big part of what motivates people. And then of course there's dispute about what is a conspiracy theory. A lot of these things that you would mention, such as stolen election, the things, was COVID leaked from a lab? Those are things that I'm sure a number of Republican voters would say, well, that one is not actually a conspiracy theory. That's actually true. And it's just such a big part of what motivates their political base. But the trick is for these commentators and Republicans is when it gets to be too far, when it gets to be turning in on you, do you reject that instinct and you reject that gut feeling that Candace Owens talks about so much in these, is that feeling, that intuition that they feel something is not right or not being told the whole story? Do you try and tamp that down and tell these supporters and viewers and listeners that they're wrong? Or do you try and gently guide them in a different direction? And how do you even do that? And that's, I think, the dilemma that they're seeing right now.
All right, Emily, always interesting to chat with you. And you, too, can get Emily's insight right into your inbox. Just head over to thehill.com, click on newsletters, and sign up for the movement. Emily Brooks, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.